G'day guys, my name's Lindsay. I'm into sketchy race cars and janky motorbikes. You'll see some racing, some riding, and a heap of breakdowns. So tighten your helmet, and welcome to the channel. Morning guys. So, back in the workshop again. On the Yoko's car, I'm going to try and fix that giant hole in the floor, and I'm going to try and fix the fuel lines. So the fuel lines I'm going to replace hopefully with some solid copper ones for part of the run, and then the rest of it will be brand new fuel hose. And then the hole in floor, that's easy. I'm going to cut it out and weld in a new panel. So this is the hole that I was talking about. And you can see it. It's probably fair enough. So I'm going to cut it out and weld a new piece on. Clean the area, need a piece, 100mm by 80mm, straight over there, and then weld on the outside, a couple of tacks from the inside maybe, just to keep that lip down, stop it pulling up on the sides. Okay, it's all welded in from the bottom. Not my best work. It's a bit weld boogery, but it'll do the job, I think. Yeah, so I'll throw a coat of paint on it, and I'm calling that done. We'll see what the scrutineers say. This is the fuel hose, got the sheathing off. Basically, this end looks okay. This is the carburetor end, and it's got a little bit oval just there, but the rest of it, it's all pretty circular till it gets to about here, and it really starts to neck down like that. It's also got some pretty decent cracks in it, so that section's screwed. I'm going to go back to probably this point, just because that all seems to be okay. Like it's not cracked, it's in reasonably good condition. That's all the protected sheathing section of it. So I'll use that for like my flexible bits on either end. But then for the rest of it, I'm going to run some copper tubing with some P-clamps, and easy as that, in theory. So the fuel system's coming along well. I have it run to copper tubing to there, flexible line inside. The better sections of the fuel hose going to the fuel pump and then to the fuel tank. It's all screwed down. I've just got to cut the final hose to length and then put some fuel in it and prime the whole system, make sure I'm getting fuel at the other end, hook it back up at the front, start it, give it a run, and then we're done. Okay, so it's all hooked up. I'm basically just bleeding it out. I've got it going straight into a container there, just to flush out any of the garbage that's in the rest of the lines, and to fill the whole thing full of fuel so that I can check for leaks. But yeah, I think that'll probably do it. That's probably enough. Oh, I got to bolt the lines down, I think. I've got some other clamps, these ones, which will hold the whole thing down a bit better, I think. I don't know if they're necessary because it didn't have them before, but I'd prefer to lock it right down. Like, it is a fuel line and it was just kind of flopping around there before, like it was zip tied to the battery cable, which isn't great. So I'd prefer to have it positively locked to the car, just clamped down so that if I do decide to flip the thing, that it doesn't, you know, go dangling around and wrench on anything, and you know, it's all sort of tight. Okay, I think that's everything for today. But the other thing is I noticed that the exhaust mount has actually broken off. So that explains why every time I started and ran it, it was making like this horrible clunk and banging noise coming from the exhaust. I figured it was a loose mount or something, but it's a broken mount at the back. I might see if I can bodge up a rubber isolator, something tight to keep it up. And I want to check the rear wheel arches for clearance, because I'm getting horrible squeaking, and you guys have probably heard it in the videos. It's horrendous, it's quite loud. So, and it's kind of annoying in the car. I'm pretty sure it's in the wheel well it's making contact. The axle is sitting quite far forward. But yeah, pretty productive day. That's everything that it needs before the next Yoko's race. Now it's just nice to have. Right, so the current problems with the car that I can find, that I can see, is in here. I found the shiny spot where it's been rubbing, but it's on the inside of the wheel arch, and the other side has the exact same thing. So I think what's actually happening is this entire diff is basically shifting left to right, and I think it's kind of because these are just shit. Like, it is a 4-link, I guess, but it's a pretty one. So I think it's floating on these left to right. And it's actually rubbing on the inside. And to be honest, that's a much more long-term problem, I think. I gotta come up with a longer-term solution for that. But this guy, that's a pretty easy one to fix, I think. I'll just cut the section out, weld a reinforcement in there, cut this probably in half like that, and then put basically a piece of rubber in the middle so that it isolates it a little bit, because that being solid mounted is just, as soon as I weld that back up again, it's just going to fatigue it straight back off. So that's my theory. Okay, so I've welded a plate in. It's not pretty, the welds aren't great, but it's in there. Now I've got to figure out some way to sort of rubber mount this so that I can then weld the back of it as well. And what I'm going to do to solve that is I'm going to take, I like recycling parts obviously, I'm going to take the very bent, destroyed shock absorber that came out of it, and I'm going to cut the top off it, this bit here, clean up that bit, flip it over, and put them in there like that. And then all I have to do is run a bolt through it. And then it'll be, whoops, and then it'll be rigid, so it won't sort of walk anywhere, but it'll also be rubber mounted at the back. It'll be isolated somewhat, so it shouldn't crack through that too quickly. I found bigger problems. Oh man. Cut this off, and it didn't drip very far because it's tied on at the back, which I thought, great. Except that it's not actually connected to the exhaust pipe. Yeah, it's fine. I might just wire brush it and weld it in situ if I'm honest. It's a Yoko's car, I don't really care. But that's Yoko's, I guess. And that is us, or me, done for the day, I think. This is all pretty solid, but it's not like solid. I guess having the isolator on the back here should probably help a fair bit though. So I'm just gonna throw a coat of paint on all of it, and that'll be it for the Yoko's car, I think. That's it. Ready for the race next weekend in Huvinkin. I don't know what it translates to. But yes, race time.